video.
Yes. We are going to be doing part 3 and part 4 tonight.
Yes.
We weren't able to finish it all yesterday, so we're going to finish it again today.
Got tired, and then we had to run and go do things.
Yeah.
Which caused us to get tired. Well, I'm sorry, it caused me to get tired. So it's on me. I'm gonna say it's on me because I was getting tired.
I was also getting tired. But we're gonna do this. Ding. We're gonna do part 3, and we're gonna talk about. I would say it's not the canonical 5th victim, but the canonical 4th victim is by far the most brutal. And remember, Jack the Ripper killed at like 12 o'clock at midnight one day, and he had just slashed her throat, and it was a really bad slash, but nothing else was done to her body. So an hour later, there is another victim who is found, and what is done to her body is so much worse than what has happened to the other victims. Remember, the second victim is missing her uterus. The first victim had been disemboweled.
Yeah.
The 4th victim is by far, I firmly believe, the reason so much anger was taken out on her was because he was not able to do what he needed to do with his 3rd victim. He wasn't able to follow his pattern. Huh?
I was like, oh shit. Sorry.
So by 1:30 p.m., the police constable for the city police was walking his beat, and it was at this time they were clearing the scene of Elizabeth Stride's murder. So they're still cleaning up the Elizabeth Stride murder at this time, and nothing was out of the ordinary. It was his regular beat, and so when a police officer at the time was walking a beat, they walked the same path. They didn't deviate from the path. They didn't go. They walked the same area.
They don't have boom boom cars.
Yeah.
They have carriages. So
and they just walked it again and again and again and again.
They were bored.
So he eventually gets back to his starting point.
That's that starting point.
His starting point, which was about 14 to 15 minutes from when he began.
Right.
So it took him 14, 15 minutes to walk to where he was now. And all of a sudden, he sees a woman laying on her back on the ground. And he used his lantern for light, and when he shone it on her, it showed she was brutally murdered.
Mind you, it's back in the day when they had for people joining and wanting to know what we're talking about.
It is dark. It is Oklahoma.
Black.
No city nearby. You just got plain fields. It's dark. Your mind is playing tricks on you.
So back then they don't have electricity like we do.
Yes,
nowadays.
They're using gas lights. There's very few lights. So how he did this murder in 15 minutes with no light is very confusing to people. Mm-hmm. It's very confusing to me because we were driving to Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm sitting there and we're driving and it's like 7 o'clock at night and it's pitch black. I can't see nothing. And I'm like just staring off and I'm like, this is what Jack the Ripper killed in. How did he? I can't.
You're saying that Justin's all what?
I'm saying it in my head.
Okay.
I'm like, I can't even see like 3 feet ahead of me. What?
And I joked in the last video of like he went and got night vision goggles.
Yeah, he traveled in time, got night vision goggles. No,
he was a smart
fun fact about that. I purposely got Justin to drive past Truth or Consequence. And when we were almost at Truth or Consequence, I let slip that we were driving past
one of the cases,
the Toy Story killers thing, and he goes, and we're not stopping. We're driving straight past it, and I was like,
keep going.
I was like, do you know they think they haven't found a whole bunch of his victims because he was going to stop by the lake that's near Truth or Consequence, and he was like, and we're not stopping at the lake either now.
He does not like a lot of the cases that we do. That's why we're sitting this way, because
he walks by.
He walks by, and he does not like being in the video. So we kind of stopped doing it to where he's walking by. So we went back to sitting this way until we move, and we're in the new room, and we have it set up right. He won't have to worry about it. We just have to wait for animals. Yeah. Animals will interrupt.
But no, I found that to be so funny. I was like, yeah, and I gave him a couple of fun facts, and I was like, do you know in the Albuquerque they have the toy killer boxes, the toy box killers thing still outside, sitting in an impound lot in Albuquerque, and he's like,
can you stop telling me this stuff?
And he's like, are they going to burn it? And I was like, no,
It's
because
evidence,
technically
dude.
there's evidence in it and they have to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they find a body, they can probably connect DNA. And he's like, he was not very happy. I wanted to drive by in Truth or Consequence. A, because it has a cool name.
Yeah.
B, because of the killer. And he was like, nope, driving by it. We're just going to, no.
Keep on going.
So one of these days I'm going to have to.
The person doesn't blame me yet for us doing this podcast because she comes to us if you don't know our channel. Okay, it did start off with just John and I doing things and me mostly doing things and doing crafting. And then she just kept going on her tangent of, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And I'm like, you want to do podcasts? And she kind of looks at me like,
I don't like being in front of cameras.
She's like I was in the beginning, where I don't like being in front of cameras, but now I'm pretty comfortable because it's my home. We're inside our home where we're safe and we don't have to feel like, whatever, unsafe. And she's like, okay. And so now she's like, are we recording today? I'm like, no, I don't feel like doing it today. Oh,
because I have and you will, if you've never seen our videos before, I will randomly be like, do you want to know a really fun fact? And I will just, it's completely off topic, but it will come into my head because we're talking about something kind of similar.
So we have squirrel moments. We both do.
Yeah, like, what was it? Episode 1, we started talking about tuberculosis.
Oh, yeah, part 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found another fun fact. Do you know what the number one killer in, like, the 1400s was?
See?
What was the number one disease in the 1400s?
The plague.
No.
Wasn't it the bubonic plague?
Not that one.
It was a plague.
No. It was TB.
Oh, that's right. Fucking A.
Guess what it was in the 1500s?
TB.
1600s.
Yeah, it was TB all the way.
1700s.
Same.
1800s.
Same.
Nope, Spanish flu.
Damn it! That was close.
1900s. No, 1800s was also TB. 1900s is Spanish flu. 2000s.
COVID.
I do believe, COVID for the short period of time actually did beat out TB. But TB is still a good number, a good spreadable disease and communicable disease. Still really big.
Okay, fun fact. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says it.
So we're going to go back to the victim. So he sees that she's been brutally murdered.
Yeah.
Her clothing has been aggressively and intentionally cut open, which is new.
Yes, because
usually he just pulls the clothes up.
Because he didn't say he didn't do that the last time.
So. Yeah, no, he cut her clothes open to expose her entire body. And she was soaked from head to toe in blood.
Dang, he did go.
Yeah, it went from escalation of, he likes to take uteruses to what the fuck is this? She had her torso had been eviscerated. It had been cut open from rectum to sternum. Yeah. Her intestines were slashed and cut, which is a little unusual. Remember last time when he removed organs, it was usually professional.
Pretty neat, pretty.
2-foot pieces of intestines was laying on the ground next to her body.
So glad we ate dinner, then did this.
And on her arm, another larger piece of intestine was draped over her right shoulder.
What is it with him displaying their insides?
She had a deep laceration on her throat, and her face was actually slashed several times.
Wow.
He also cut off a part of her right ear. Hence why...
Wasn't there another one that...
the Emma one that they say might have been that Jack the Ripper, but I don't believe so, because Jack the Ripper likes to cut his victims, and this one was just brutally SA'd. Okay. And Jack the Ripper does not. From what autopsies were able to do at the time, was able to determine none of these victims were SA'd. There was no sexual component to any of these crimes. Right. Other than the slashing. Because technically you can count slashing and cutting as a sexual in nature crime. Yeah. But there was nothing actually sexually done to these victims. Okay. So he also cut off a part of her, and this was done in 14 to 15 minutes. Okay. So this had to be quick, efficient, done fast. She was killed in a corner by an alley, and there was 2 lamps in the entire square. So it's like the square, and then there's like a lamp here, and she's like in the corner.
Okay.
And next to her were 3 empty houses, and actually across the way, like across the street from where she was found, was the home of the police constable Richard Pierce, who was asleep in his home at the time of the murder, and he could have seen the murder if he looked out his bedroom window. Yeah, that was gutsy of him.
Okay.
That's gutsy.
That's like, now you're taking it to a whole new level. You want to get caught, but I'm not going to let you.
Yeah, it's a very much a not a boo-boo. You can't catch me.
Yep. Wow. What a piece
now
of
work. Nearby there was a warehouse, Keeley and Tongs, that a night watchman and former Metropolitan Police officer named George James Morris was sweeping, and Watkins ran in and told him there was another woman in the square. He said that she was cut to pieces and that her intestines were tossed in a heap over her shoulder, and he was like, "Help me." Morris followed him, and he told Watkins he had not seen or heard anything, and that his warehouse door had been open while he swept for the past few minutes. So 2 officers showed up, one of them being Police Constable James Harvey. He was shocked not only because of the scene, but also because he had walked the square at 1:40 and had seen nothing, and she was found at 1:45.
Okay.
So he was 5 minutes. It went from 14 to 15 to another officer going to the square, walking away, being called back 5 minutes later, and seeing this body.
Oh,
wow. And he was adamant he saw nothing when he was in the square.
I saw nothing.
And he was within yards of the murder too. So it's not like he was in this corner of it, and it was in this corner. And like, again, not a lot of light. Maybe he didn't see it. No, he was within yards of where the murder occurred. So he would have seen or heard something.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about the autopsy. And this is about to get a little brutal. Something that was weird that the autopsy noted was that
Hermione, out of our room.
The intestines had fecal matter all over them.
Ew.
And I'm going to just say this. No shit, because that's where the poop is.
I didn't know it was going to go that way. That would be something I would say. She took my moment. Damn it.
I had to.
Shitty situation altogether.
I literally wrote it in here.
Oh my
where I
God.
said, no shit, because people poop, and that's where the poop is.
Oh my God.
So heads up, again, this is going to get a little nasty.
It couldn't get any shittier than it is now.
Yeah. So there also, if somebody was nearby, they would have noticed the slushing of removing things. Removing somebody's insides makes noise.
Do you think?
And so I actually found out when I was doing this that when you remove the pelvic block and you're removing it from the inside of the body, there's actually a suction noise.
No descriptions.
And they call it the noise of victory. Because it means you're able to lift it out because it is so hard to actually remove.
Good God.
He had removed it, so he had heard the the suction breaking.
To be more precise, my God.
I told you it was about to get gory.
Jeez. And while I'm sitting here trying to find us a new cover, for our thing, she's all talking about that crap.
So Dr. Frederick Gordon Brown, the city's surgeon, was called to the scene at 2 a.m. and he said she had not been assayed and she was still warm.
I'm so glad that I don't have a queasy stomach when it comes to this crap. I'm so glad that I don't. For the simple fact of, I can handle kids vomiting, but adults, you're on your own. I'm sorry.
I will say, I don't know how they came to the determination that she was not assayed, because she was cut down there. Again, she was cut from sternum here on your chest to rectum. So she was cut through the vagina. So again, I don't know how they came to that determination, if there was no other bruising, no other injury. But they said she was not essayed. She was sexually mutilated, not essayed.
Willow butt.
So a few constables are looking around the body and they find some buttons from boots, a metal button, a mustard tin with 2 pawn tickets inside, and one of them was signed with the surname Kelly. And they didn't know who this victim was because remember, her face had been slashed and she's covered in blood. So she was brought to Golnuan mortuary and she was stripped and washed and she was not ID'd immediately. So the press published what they found in her pockets, hoping that would help her get ID'd.
Right.
They included what she was wearing in the paper because it looked like she was wearing everything she owned.
Which like you told me the last time, if people don't know, back in this time, if you didn't want your house to get robbed, everybody pretty much wore everything that they had. And clothing, jewelry, all of that stuff they carried on.
Most of the victims were living in tenement homes or DOS houses. Tenement homes, you lived with multiple different families in the same house. And DOS houses, you could only pay for a night at a time. You could pay for multiple nights at a time, but you could not have a safe. It would not be safe because you would get in bed at night and then you would have to be out by like 7 a.m. the next morning. Right. You were not able to keep your stuff there. It was just simply a bed for you. Or if in certain cases, a bench for you to sit on for the night. Because remember, they would do the thing where if you paid 1 pence, you could sit on the bench all day, all night, as long as you didn't fall asleep. And they would do rotations to make sure that the people on the bench were not falling asleep.
And then you had the one where
they would hang a rope in front and you would, to sleep. This is how they would do it, is you would sit on a bench and you would hang over the rope. Which is where some...
hence why they think they called it hangover.
Yeah, and some linguistics believe that's where the term hangover came from.
You don't make this very easy for me to do what I need to
do. So in her pockets was a piece of string, a common white handkerchief with a red border, a matchbox with cotton in it, a white linen pocket containing a white bone-handled table knife that was very blunt with no blood stains on it, and 2 short clay pipes and a red cigarette case with red metal filings. A check pocket containing 5 pieces of soap, a small tin box containing tea sugar, a pair of spectacles, a 3-cornered check handkerchief, and a large white linen containing a small comb, a red mitten, and a ball of worsted. Worsted. She was also wearing a lot of layers. And again, remember, he cut through all of this. What I'm about to name, he cut through all of it. A black fur-trimmed jacket with an apron tied over the whole thing, a chintz skirt with 3 flounces, a brawn linen-y dress bodice with black velvet collar, a gay petticoat, a green alpaca shirt, an old blue skirt with a red flounce, a white calso chemise, and a men's white vest with buttons down the front, men's lace-up boots, a neck handkerchief, and a black straw bonnet that was lined and trimmed with green and black velvet.
Okay. That's a lot of clothing.
And he had cut through all of it.
Dang.
Yeah.
He
was angry.
He had to have had a very good...
I think he was angry. I think he could not complete his ritual because we all know how serial killers get with their rituals.
Oh, right, because you were saying last time that he got interrupted.
This was literally hours after that second victim where only her throat was slashed.
Right.
So I think he couldn't finish his ritual with the third one.
Yeah.
And he got mad, so he took his anger out on her.
Right. I could see that.
I
don't doubt that.
Now, with these details published, a man named John Kelly came forward saying that it might have been the woman he had been living with for 7 years. He said her name was Catherine Eddowes, and she also went by Kate.
Okay.
Since they had been together so long, people actually called her Miss Kelly. She was born April 14th in 1842 in Graiseley Green in West Midlands, and she was one of 11 children.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Her parents were Catherine and George Eddowes. Her mom was a cook at the Peacock Inn, and her dad was a tin plate varnisher at the Old Hall Works. He moved the family to London because they were bringing over stamping machines to take over the human tin jobs at the hall.
Okay.
So in 1848, the family moved to London, where he could get a new job in the stamp industry, and they moved to Bermondsey, where 4 more children were born, but only 2 survived.
Oh, okay.
Catherine attended a school named Downgate Charity School, and it was created to train poor kids to be able to get off the streets and stay off the streets. It was teaching her the skills to keep her head above water, which I'm going to be honest, the only skills they really taught women were sewing and the Bible.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Catherine was adorable with curly auburn hair, and she was sweet and lovely. And someone called her a chick because she was tiny and loved to sing. And that singing voice carried into adulthood. And people complimented her on her singing voice her whole entire life.
Okay, so she had a nice. Okay.
When Catherine was 13, her mom died of tuberculosis, and her dad died 2 years later. I'm assuming also of tuberculosis. This meant that the kids were split between different workhouses and schools like Catherine was attending. The older siblings were trying to make sure their siblings were staying out of trouble, and they were trying to get Catherine to their Aunt Elizabeth and Uncle William, who were her father's brother and his wife. They were happy to take her, and they were like, we're going to have her work as a domestic servant in Wolverhampton. And Elizabeth was there as a surrogate mom, and she was living in a nice Elizabeth acted as a surrogate mom for Catherine, and she was in a nice living environment, and there was opportunities for her. And the home was on Bilston Street, and everyone lived there, and they were doing fine. But Catherine was not the one to settle for a boring job and to be content. She felt she was destined to be something more, as most of these women felt. Right. They were not the kind to be tied down. They were pioneers ahead of their time.
If they're independent women.
Yeah, if they were in the foot. If they were around nowadays, they would often probably be referred to as you know, they would be regular women in today's society. Because, most women are like, I don't want to be like, I can't imagine being stuck in a house all day.
I'd go crazy.
I would lose my mind.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Can you imagine being stuck? No wonder women turn to drink. Can you imagine being stuck in a house for four walls all day?
So I can actually truly say that I did do it for a little bit, because I stopped working to go to school, but I occupied my time. I would go through and clean the house, and I'm all looking at it. It's like, well, damn, there's nothing else to clean. What can I do now? I would get bored, and so then I signed up to go to school. So I took a year off from working to go to school, and then I think I stopped doing, like, I didn't do summer school. I only did the regular semester stuff. But no, I would go nuts. I can't. No. Even John's like, I want you to stop working. Even my son has said the same thing, because and it's no disrespect to me, or anything in that nature, or to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because mine is more because of my illness. He doesn't want me to overdo it. But the issue is, I don't know what I would do if I'm not overdoing it.
Let's put it this way: you all would probably get more videos if we were at home.
You would get like 3 videos a week.
Yep.
We're gonna be completely honest.
Hey, good idea.
So,
because we both like doing this, so it's one of those that I can see where they're coming from, and they're not being those type of men that sit there and say, "Well, we want you to stay home to cook, clean, do all this." Yeah, no, they're not like that.
They're like, we want,
because of her illness.
Justin's like, I don't want you to hurt yourself more.
Like, you're overdoing what you're doing already. Yeah. And then John, he likes me being at home, but I can't. I'd go nuts.
Yeah. No.
I would be like, no. We'd go shopping all the time. I think I'm still an idea. Just saying. I mean, they're giving us ideas.
When she was 16, she met a man named Thomas Conway, and he was from Kilgiver, Lewisburg County, Mayo, in Ireland. And he was older than her and a soldier in the Royal Irish Regiment. And they took to liking each other, but nothing happened until later. She got a job at her dad's old place of work, and she was a scourer, which meant she had to sweep and mop up after the workers. And she was fired quickly for stealing. This was all it took for her aunt and uncle to kick her out of the house. She moved in with another uncle, Thomas Eddowes, in Birmingham, and she lasted even less time there, and she ended up moving back to Wolverhampton with her grandfather. And he got her a job as a stamper. She was the one who would use the machine to emboss the design, and a couple weeks later she quit and went back to Birmingham, and she met with Thomas Conway.
Because we can't, they are starting to get dark.
The flame flickered out, and she had been pensioned out.
Sorry, kids.
And he had been pensioned out in the military because he had gotten sick, but he was healthier now, and they spent time traveling all over together. He made and sold chapbooks, which were mini versions of literature and poetry books. They were comprised of many different sources. Other than this, he made money on Gallow Ballad. They made money on Gallow Ballads, which were written songs about murderers about to be hung.
Oh, okay.
The two of them would travel to different jails and sell them to people, and they made good money on it. And remember, she was known for her singing voice, so she would sing these ballads.
Okay.
And they made good money on these ballads. And there was a lot of hangings during this time. And so Catherine was not married to Thomas, but she often said that he was her husband and that she would say her last name was Conway. And the couple was intense. She even got TC tattooed on her forearm in blue ink. Again, 1888, a woman getting tattooed.
That's a no-no.
That is ahead of its time.
That's a major
Also, never tattoo your partner's name on you. Bad luck.
Exactly.
They had two kids, one named Anne and the other named Catherine Ann. Now, in 1866, they did a gallows ballad for her cousin, Christopher Charles Robinson, who was hanging for murdering his fiancée in cold blood. In 1868, they had a son named Thomas. In this same year, public executions were banned. So the need for gallows ballads and their source of income was gone. They moved to Surrey, and she took a job as a laundress, and that was when things started to get bad. The family was in and out of workhouses, and now there was no money coming in at all. And in August 1873, while living at St. George's Workhouse, Catherine had another baby boy named Alfred George, and then things got worse. Thomas and Catherine were drinking heavily, and it seemed to be the only way they could cope. And Thomas was an asshole when he drank. And he was violent. He would beat her, and they broke up, and he kept Alfred and Thomas, and she kept Annie and Catherine. So they split up. He took the boys, she took the girls. She asked if she could live with her Aunt Elizabeth and Uncle William, and they said no because of the one fuck up she had when she was 16. She was in the streets of London, and she was with kids, and she was staying with different friends, and her kids had conflicting things to say. One felt one way about her, the other kid felt the opposite. So she was drinking even more heavily, and this was the beginning of the end. She was getting arrested for drunken disorderly a lot, and she started practicing sex work as a means of getting enough money to put a roof over her head and her kid's head, and it was a lot similar to a lot of the victims we've been seeing.
Right.
It was during this time she found herself talking to John Kelly. He had recently lost his wife, and she was kind and sweet, and he wanted to make her happy. And he was sober. He didn't drink really. The reason was he didn't think it was worth spending money on alcohol.
What? Somebody actually made
sense? And she was also still telling people her name was Kate Conway. And when people saw the two of them together, people would be like, oh, look, Miss Kelly. So they started making the same thing.
Okay.
And that was iffy for her. She would be on and off about the name of going by Miss Kelly or Miss Conway. She also had Bright's disease, which is inflammation of the nephrons she had inflammation of the kidneys. And she would have symptoms such as shortness of breath, back and flank pain, fluid retention in her hands and face, exhaustion. And so eventually, all this is happening. They move in together at 55 Flower and Dean Street at Connie's lodging house. And she wore everything she owned because things were always getting stolen, and it's why she was found with so many layers. Now, the deputy of the lodging house said she was jovial and jolly. He confirmed that John Kelly lived like they were married.
Yeah.
They kind of drifted together and they drifted apart. Sometimes they stayed together, other times they went to different workhouses. And she would come and beg and borrow money from her daughters who were now grown, and her kids resented this. In the summer of 1888, they were common law married. They walked 40 minutes together with a lot of other workers from London to Kent to do hop picking, which would be used to make beer, and it was a big job. So for the first time in a while, the two were together and could not escape each other. And it was not going well. Because remember, they used to like get together, then separate, then come together, then separate. No, they were stuck to each other's hip during this. And it was not going well. They ended up making a little amount of money and ended up coming back sooner than they expected. They left September 27th and they split up for the night, and they arrived in London and they went on their separate ways. John Kelly went to a lodging house and Catherine went to a couple workhouses to do manual labor for her stays. On September 28th, she told the manager at the Mile End Workhouse, "I have come back to earn the reward money for the apprehension of the Whitechapel murderers. I think I might know him." And they were like, "Great. Who is the Whitechapel murderer?" AKA who we now call Jack the Ripper.
Yep.
And she goes, "I don't know. I just thought you would give me the money if I said I
knew who it was.
If I knew who it was."
You know how that works, ma'am.
And she responded with, "Oh no." And she goes, "I don't know." And then they said, "Careful not to become a victim of his out there." And she responded with, "Oh no, fear of that." And there was another instance actually in this case that I found weird. The night in the kitchen before she was killed, Annie Chapman was talking about how scary that Jack thing was.
Yeah, I remember
how
that.
Scary the mutilation murders were. So we have two victims who are warned about the mutilation murders because it had not been started being called the Jack the Ripper murders.
Right.
They started calling them the mutilation murders, and they had talked about how scary it was, which I think is really sad and really ominous. On September 29th, Catherine and John met up for breakfast. They went on their separate ways, and they planned to meet up again. When they did see each other, it was like 2 a.m., and Catherine was like, "I'm going to Bermondsey to see her daughter."
That's
Bermondsey to see her daughter, and she told John she would be back in Whitechapel around 4 p.m. and we can meet up then. And she was seen at what they call Prostitute Island, where women would stand and solicit men, and she was very drunk when she was doing this.
Yes, I'm laughing on the inside by the name of what she just
said. Well, we're gonna...
What?
We're gonna... I want to laugh, but at the same time, I feel awful for her. So, according to Hidden Lives of Jack the Ripper Victims, she was pretending to be a fire engine. Now, back in 1888, they didn't have fire trucks the way we have. So it's not wee-oo, wee-oo. It's not that. That was not the thing. They were recognized by their steam engine. So if anything, she was going... Now remember, she suffered from Bright's disease, which one of the symptoms of Bright disease is shortness of breath. So she could have been huffing and puffing, and it just sounded like a steam engine from a fire truck.
Oh my God, poor woman. We're not laughing at her.
She could either continued because she was getting laughs because people thought it was funny, or she just didn't want to make a scene. She was arrested that night at 8:30 p.m. when police constable named George Simmons and another named Lewis Robinson found her on the ground at Aldgate High Street, and she was out cold. And when they tried to pick her up, she just slumped back over.
Wow.
She was taken to Bishopsgate police station. They asked her name, and she said nothing. She was put in a cell to sober up, and everyone who saw her said she smelled of drink and she couldn't stand up straight. At 12:15, this is the night of the murder.
Okay.
So she's taken to jail because she cannot stand up straight. At 12:15, she woke up and was singing softly to herself. Apparently, she did this when she was scared. She would sing to herself.
Okay.
And around 12:30, she was like, "Are you going to let me out?" And they're like, "When you can take care of yourself." And around 1 o'clock, they actually let her out.
I mean, that's very considerate of them to keep her in there until she can take care of herself.
Yeah.
But
and they said they needed her name, and she told them her name was Marianne Kelly, and she lived at 6 Fashion Street in Spitalfield. So they let her leave, and she turned and said, "Good night, old cock."
Okay.
Wow. There were still reports that she was drunk because the pubs were closed at the time. She couldn't get drunker, so they just sent her home.
Why? If you're gonna keep her there, you should have kept her there.
She did tell the police. And they wrote in the report that she was going to get a damn fine hiding when she got home. She's gonna get her ass beat.
Okay, there we go. What?
When she got home.
What?
Which PC George Hutt said and wrote, "Serves you right. You have no right to get drunk." He wrote that in her police report.
Wow.
She wrote, "I'm going to get my ass whooped when I get home." And he wrote, "Serves you right."
Thanks a lot, cop, for willing to protect me here.
At 1:35, she was actually spotted at Joseph Levy and Harry Street on the corner of Duke Street and Church Passage, which is an avenue that leads to Mitri Square. That is where she is found, like, I would say probably 20 minutes later, 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
She was seen talking to a man who, according to them, they were very close. She had her hand on his chest. They said he was of medium build, 5'7", somewhere in the area of 30 years old, and he was fair complected with a mustache, and he was wearing a grayish jacket with a red scarf or neck handkerchief and a gray cloth with a peak. The hat was a scaly hat, which like is a Peaky Blinders kind of hat. Levy said that he looked at Harris and was like, Levy said that he looked at Harris and was like, "I don't like going home by myself when I see characters like that about." And he said, I wasn't nervous or like thinking they were going to hurt me. But he was like, "They are up to no good being in an alley at 2 a.m. 10 minutes later, she was found disemboweled on the streets in the dark.
Jeez.
10 minutes later.
After you sit there and say that.
But 10 minutes to do what he did to her?
Yeah.
To cut through her clothes.
He cut down time.
Yeah, to cut through her clothes, to cut her from rectum to sternum, to completely disembowel her, to remove the pelvis floor.
For him to go with it, for him to do 10 minutes, that's a lot of anger.
Cool.
That's a lot of anger to be taking it out on someone like that.
Now, when removing her clothes, a piece of her ear dropped to the ground because it had been in the fabric of her clothing. Dr. Brown did the autopsy, but Dr. Phillips was there as well as Dr. George William Secura and Dr. William Sanders. Now, when they went and looked at the body closer, they saw the eyelids had been slit vertically.
Ooh,
and the left one had a 1/4-inch slice through the lower lid, and the right was sliced all the way through.
That's new.
There was also deep lacerations on the bridge of her nose, and they extended across her right cheek to her jaw, and it had cut down to the bone on her face.
Wow.
The tip of her nose was sliced off. Her upper lip was also cut down to the gum. Her mouth was sliced from the right side into the cheek, and north of her cheek underneath her eyes had little triangles cut into the skin and flapped over. These cuts were deliberate, so they were like planned cuts.
Wow.
Again, don't know how he's doing this in the dark. He has to have a lamp on him. Some sort of light on him. These cuts were deliberate. Now, the cuts on the abdomen that eviscerated her was jagged and described as zigzagged.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not entirely true. It was a clean slice until he got to her belly button, where he sliced around the belly button. So he didn't cut through the belly button, he cut around the belly button, which gave them actually an indication that he might have some medical knowledge.
I mean, the first few people should have told them that.
But it looked so the cut extended to the breastbone, down to the groin, the pelvic bone, and it takes a quick detour, then it goes straight down again, which is what happens with autopsies. In autopsies during this time period, they avoided the belly button.
Okay.
So he had to have known that. That's not like an everyday thing, like that's not an everyday, everyone knows that they avoid the belly button when they're doing autopsies.
Huh.
That's something you're taught.
Yeah.
Her left kidney was removed and it was sliced cleanly. They had actually sliced through the renal capsule. Dr. Brown was like, this man knows anatomy, because they had to know where the kidneys are in the body. Because the kidneys are hard to find in the body. If you're like, you cut a person open, you gotta it's gonna sound disgusting. You gotta move through it. You gotta search through it to get to the kidneys. Right? Because they're closer to the back than they are the front. Yeah. And he sliced her through the front. So you have to get to it. Part of her uterus was also removed, and the killer took both of these.
Still not understanding why he's taking the uterus.
He took most of the uterus, but it wasn't as clean of a cut as before.
Okay.
Her liver was also stabbed. Don't know why he stabbed her liver.
Isn't he killing people? Mostly people the women that he's killing have all been alcoholics.
Yeah.
They've all been alcoholics. They've all had children.
But then I don't know if they're the easiest victim. I wonder if there was a victim who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, remember we were making the comment of mom issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe
all of these victims are older.
They're all older. They all had kids. They're all alcoholics. They're all do sex work. Like, did he have a horrible childhood where his mom was doing everything to where she could make sure they had a roof over their head, and all of this stuff, and he's just like you said, those kids resented their mom for taking money.
What's his name? Who's the therapist? Freud. I hate him.
It's like I'm just wondering.
No, it's anytime Freud is mentioned, I get.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out, is I'm wondering if that's his.
It most likely.
It's like an MO for him. Like, I'm going to get rid of women.
How many serial killers have we seen that had a terrible relationship with their mother that ended up killing women who kind of reminded them of their moms?
Yeah, we've had a lot though.
Yeah. So something else which was kind of new was her vagina and rectum had been lacerated and stabbed. So again, a sexual mutilation was there, but no sexual assault.
And that's why I'm trying to I'm not trying to piece this together. Hence why at the beginning of this little thing, in the title of it, I put warning.
Yeah.
Because this is a horrible conversation.
Yeah.
And topic.
And the thing is, I'm not even done. He had also sliced her right thigh up to the labia to create one big flap of skin.
Okay.
And the pancreas and spleen were lacerated and stabbed. Like, why? This was all done post-mortem. Luckily, she had died from the sliced neck. A few witnesses reported that when he heard she was in jail, John Kelly was like, oh, she'll be out by morning. So word had spread that she was arrested. And during examination, they realized her clothes were cut through with a knife and part of the dress was missing. And as soon after this, it was Constable Alfred Long who found the missing sliced apron piece on Gouston Street, about a 10-minute walk from the murder scene. And it appeared as if someone had wiped blood on the apron, like they had used it to clean a knife. So he walked with the knife in the apron, wiped it off for 10 minutes, and then threw it off to the side. Now, it was found Now, next to it, he found writing with chalk. Heads up, anti-Semitic.
Hermione.
And we're about to see the most fucked up part of a police investigation, open corruption I have ever fucking seen.
Oh, worse than the other ones, huh?
So in chalk was written, "The Jews are not the men that will be blamed for nothing." Yeah, weird. So he was like, so the police officer's like, let's get a photo of this. This is important. We need to take a photo of this because the apron is found here. Looks like it's been wiped with blood. Here's this chalk message. We're going to take a photo of it because this is a piece of evidence.
Right. I see the evidence part of it, but why would you make that comment?
And he was like, he didn't make that comment. It was written. That was written in chalk. Okay. And he was like, we need to get a photo of this, and because it's going to begin to rain and it's going to wash it away. Now, remember how I brought up Sir Charles Warren and I kept saying he's an asshole?
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed up a little after 5 a.m. and he told them to erase it.
Oh, you were telling me that.
Because people will see it and it would be dangerous for people. Now, I understand people would be upset. And Officer Halsey was like, let me take one photo with light. And Warren was like, no, they will destroy this house because of their writing. And basically, it'll cause a problem. And the officer was like, hold up. What if we just erase Jew? What if we erase that? We keep everything else, but we erase that. How about that?
How's that any freaking different?
And Warren goes, no, get rid of it. And they were like, if we remove this word, it'll become less offensive and people won't take it seriously. And he was like, nope, erase it. All of it. And so they ended up erasing the chalk, and that only got added to the report. There is no photo of it.
Y'all can't just leave things alone, can you? Y'all don't know how to leave shit alone.
Robert Anderson, my man. The man who's been on vacation for about a month.
The man of the hour.
The one who was literally told you need to go on vacation because you're about to you're gonna die.
You're gonna die, dude.
You're so stressed out, you're gonna die. He, after being forced to go, he actually landed back in the UK, in England, the night of the double murder.
Okay.
So the night after he leaves, the second victim is killed. The night he comes back, the double murder happens.
Okay.
And the Home Secretary was like, you're responsible for solving this murder. And he was like, I hold myself responsible to take all legitimate means to find him. He's like, I am going to hold myself responsible for finding this killer because it's my responsibility. Anderson said, and this is where I have problems with Anderson. I understand where he's coming from, but he could have handled it a little better. Anderson said any sex worker found after midnight would be arrested, or they should be told that the police will not protect them if they remain outside. And everyone was like, okay, chill, my guy.
You're pretty much signing their death. You're signing their death certificate.
You're basically, I think what he was trying to put into effect was a curfew.
How'd that work out?
It didn't work out. Everyone was like, my guy, you're getting a little too intense right now.
Yeah, I can understand his logic behind it. It's be safe. But
they're like, you need a vacation.
Slow down.
They're like, you need a vacation. He's like, I just tried to go on vacation and it ended early.
And you all wouldn't leave me alone.
So before we get to the last canonical murder, we're going to talk about the letters. And then in the last episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about the letters. Because I'm about to tell you some stuff about these letters. And then we're going to find out that what I told you about these letters were completely wrong.
That's great.
What? So there were a lot of troll letters that went to the police because back then, same as today, people do shitty things. I mean, for us, the Nancy Guthrie case is happening. And a man in California was arrested for doing a fake ransom note. Same thing is happening in 1888. People are writing fake letters. And the most famous letter that was published was called the Dear Boss letter.
Do not.
Now, this was sent before the double murder, and it was actually sent to the Central News Agency on September 28th, 1888. It was sent one day before the murders happened, and the letter was actually dated for the 25th. And the details at the time were pretty convincing. This is what the letter says. And I'm going to be talking in Old English. So it ain't going to make a lick of sense, probably.
Bloody good.
Dear boss, I keep on hearing that the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about weather aping gave me fits. I'm down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them until I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with the funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink fits well enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I do shall clip the lady's ear off and send them to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife is nice and sharp. I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. No luck yet, they say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha. So Charles Warren, here's this letter, right? He's reading this letter and he's like, what the fuck, my guy? This guy is saying he saved blood from a victim and put it in a ginger beer bottle, but he can't use it to write because it coagulated. He commented about cutting a lady's ear off, and then the victim is then found with his ear off, but the ear was found in the apron, the clothes. He's like, I'm gonna keep killing them. I'm gonna keep killing whores. It's a lot. It's a lot. This is now where we get the title of Jack the Ripper. He names himself. The Dear Boss letter is where we get the title. So Charles Warren was like, we need to put this in the press. Bad choice, my guy. Now, another communication was sent and posted October 1st, 1888. So this meant to them, it was like written right after the double murders. Like it was written within 12 hours of the double murder. And it was a postcard that looked like the original letter, but what had appeared to be blood smears on it.
Okay.
And it said, I was not kidding, dear boss, when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jack's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. Had not time to get ears for the police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper. That one I will say is a little bit questionable. It doesn't lack the sameness as the first letter.
Yeah.
And then there's the infamous hell letter, which a lot of people know about.
Stop.
It wasn't sent to the press this time. It was instead sent to the head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, head George Lusk, and this one actually contained part of a kidney. Now, what was the fourth victim missing?
Her kidney.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, this Vigilance Committee was also named the Mile End Vigilance Committee, and it was formed earlier in the month on September 10th, 1888. And it was put together by 16 men from different businesses, and George was the founder. He was a builder, and they came together because they didn't think the Metropolitan Police Force could handle it. They didn't believe they were going to be protected. So they decided to take matters into their own hands.
Okay.
And they decided to investigate the case and see if they could protect their own community.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of these vigilance communities, actually. They patrolled streets, and they were a deterrence for people committing crimes. The newspapers were also like, the police suck and citizens need to rise up and look after themselves. And they actually wrote an article on it. And I'm going to read this article. It's actually really, really fun. Now, there is only one thing so this is a news article that's talking about how shitty the police are and how these vigilance committee needs to be formed.
Yeah.
And it goes, now there is only one thing to be done at this moment, and we can talk of larger reforms when we do away with the centralized, non-efficient military system which Sir Charles Warren has brought to perfection.
Okay.
The people of the East End must become their own police. They must form themselves at once into vigilance committees. There should be no central committee which should map out the neighborhoods into districts and appoint smaller committees. These again should at once devote themselves to volunteer patrol work at night, as well as general detective services. The unfortunates who are the objects of the man-monster's malignity should be shadowed by one or two of the amateur patrols. They should be cautioned to walk in couples. Whistles and signaling systems should be provided, and means of summoning a rescue force should be at hand.
Mm-hmm.
We are not for sure that every London district should not make some effort of the kind, for the murderer may choose a fresh quarter now that Whitechapel is being made too hot to hold him. We do not think that the police will put any obstacle in the way of this volunteer assistance. They will probably be only too glad to have their efforts supplemented by the spontaneous action of the inhabitants. But in any case, London must rouse itself. No woman is safe while this ghoul is abroad. Up, citizens, then, and do your own police work. Home Secretary Matthews is mad about this, and he said it wasn't the police's fault, but the fault of the murderer and the extraordinary cunning and secrecy that characterizes the crimes.
Okay.
So basically, the newspaper's like, police ain't doing shit. We need to do everything ourselves. And I will say, I do appreciate in the article, they actually come up with an idea that is pretty good. They talk about how sex workers should be coupled up.
Right. And I
They
agree
should
with
be
that.
in partners. They should be in pairs
Mm-hmm.
to prevent this from happening. And that also the patrols that are in these different districts should be patrolling the sex workers. They should be walking around and building a community with them, following them around, making sure they remain safe.
Right. And I agree with that. That's a smart thing to do.
So the newspaper are coming up with better ideas than the old police at the time.
Yeah. And that's, I mean.
So that was a newspaper article I thought was really fun. So on October 16th, 1888, George Lusk, this head of one of the vigilance committees, receives a package in the mail, and it's a square cardboard box, and it's like 3 inches in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened it, and he finds a letter, and it was postmarked from hell.
Okay.
And a half-human kidney was inside.
Well, that's lovely.
The organ was preserved in alcohol, and it was thought that it was wine that was preserved.
Okay.
And it was determined to be a real kidney. And it was determined it was real because Dr. Thomas Openshaw, who was at the time a pathological curator at the London Hospital Museum, explained it and determined it was indeed part of a human kidney, and that it was specifically a right kidney.
Okay.
Now, if you do your own research into this case or you've heard about this, you would also hear that he came to the conclusion by looking at this kidney.
Yeah.
That the kidney came from a 45-year-old woman and had been removed in a 3-week span, and that this kidney was of someone that drank along, which would match Catherine Eddowes' murder.
Right.
But there was also people who were like, he never said that. You're making that up.
Apparently we are.
They just said he confirmed it was a human kidney and it had come from the right kidney.
Okay.
So there was something interesting was that the renal artery was still attached to the kidney, and there were signs that some of the renal artery was retrieved with the kidney in Catherine's murder. So like it was also missing in Catherine's body. So they found it in this kidney that they got. Like it's definitely Catherine's.
Okay.
They heavily suspected as Catherine's, but again, there's no DNA testing at the time, so they can't biologically test and see if it was hers.
Okay.
Dr. Henry Sutton, who was a kidney disease master, he's actually still cited in medical papers. That's how good he is. In 2025, 2026, he's still cited in medical papers.
Oh.
He was brought this kidney, and he said it was put in alcohol, and it was sent within hours of it being removed from the body. So the only person who could have done this was the killer. Because let's say a medical student wanted to fuck with this dude for whatever reason,
Yeah.
The autopsy wouldn't be completed until 3 days after death. So it would not be as fresh as what he received. So this had to have been the killer who received it. This was not somebody performing an autopsy and wanting to fuck with someone.
Right.
So the letter read, "From hell, Mr. Lusk. Sorry I send you half the kidney, and it's really poorly spelled. So I am really sorry. It's in old English.
Okay.
Sorry I sent you half the kidney I took from the one woman, preserved it for you to their peace. I fried and ate it. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out, if you only wait a little longer. Signed, Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk." Now, the way things are spelled, it's a little weird. Like, for example, he spells nice, N-I-S-E.
Okay.
He spells preserved, Prasarved. He spells knife, Knif. Wait, Wate.
Okay.
While, While. Like, he's spelling it
He's not articulate.
It's not articulate. Now, this does not have the same sass as the Dear Boss letter. And it was not signed Jack the Ripper. On October 29th, another letter was sent to Dr. Openshaw, the one who said that kidney was his. That kidney was Kate's.
Yeah.
Old boss, you was right. It was the left kidney. I was going to operate again, close to your hospital, just as I was going to door me knife along bloomin' throat them 'cause of copper sploit the game. But I guess I'll be on the same job soon, and will send you another bit of innards, Jack the Ripper. Now,
I had to look at that over her shoulder. Like,
now
what
I actually copied because I wanted to make sure I was quoting exactly. I actually found the actual letters and copied and pasted the letter. So this is not me just being a terrible speller. This is how it was actually sent.
Yeah, I had to peek over to look, and
left
she ain't
kidney.
wrong.
I was gonna operate again, close to your hospital. No, that's not it.
I think you accidentally.
There we go. Just as I was going door me knife along of her bloomin' throat.
I think because you accidentally hit the space at the top.
And this one was signed Jack the Ripper, and it goes, "Oh, have you seen the delve with her milk scope and scalpel looking at a kidney with a slide cocked up?"
That makes my head
He's
hurt.
talking about using one of the things, the microscopes, and looking at a kidney with slides.
Okay.
That is old English.
Apparently.
That is old English.
Because I'm all like, what?
So I'm going to give you some things that might make you believe that the only real letter that Jack actually wrote is the From Hell letter. In every letter, he signs it from Jack the Ripper, except from the From Hell letter. He says From Hell. He doesn't say Jack the Ripper. He doesn't sign it. The sassiness of the letters also change. Mm-hmm. And in Mr. Luck's letter, it's a lot more eerie. The term game and job is used interchangeably in Mr. Lusk's letter. In my opinion, someone else wrote the Jack the Ripper letters and sent them. Or even it is highly theorized that it was a journalist who wrote the Dear Boss letter.
Oh, okay.
And they put it in the papers. They sent it to the papers. They didn't send it to the police. They sent it to the papers, and this was not a common thing. You didn't send stuff to the papers.
Yeah.
The journalist sent it to the papers so they would publish it in the papers to get more reads.
Okay.
So it is highly theorized. It is a journalist who wrote it. There's also the matter of every letter but Mrs. Lusk's was jovial and upbeat, but the Mr. Lusk's letter was not. It was just a matter of fact. I think the letter was sent to scare because those fake letters were being published as the killers, and he wanted them to make sure, no, I'm not this man writing these letters. Here's a kidney to prove that this is actually me.
Oh, wow. So he sent evidence and proof.
Yeah, that's why I think he sent the kidney with Mr. Lusk's case, because these Jack the Ripper letters are published, and he's like, I'm not writing these letters. Somebody else is.
So let me prove it to you by sending you a piece of her
body.
And
we can clearly see he doesn't respect the police because he killed in front of a police constable's front door, almost directly across from his bedroom window.
You don't think about that. You're not looking at like, oh, hey,
he knows he has to be from London or at least seen the patrol beat. So he's killing people knowing that a patrol officer is going to walk around in the same area.
So pretty much what he's doing is, as you were saying, I think in the first or second part, that he's casing places of where he knows there's going to be
foot traffic. Yeah, he's casing for foot traffic, and I firmly believe he just doesn't respect the police, and that's why instead of sending this letter to the police, he sends it to a vigilance committee because he thinks the vigilance committees, which are doing the things that the newspaper said, they're telling sex workers to couple up, to buddy up.
Yeah.
They're telling these vigilance communities to follow sex workers to keep them safe.
Yeah.
To him, these vigilance committees are more of a threat to what he's doing than the actual police.
Makes sense.
So I think it's point. I think him choosing that was more spot on than writing to like the papers. Because again, the only reason killers now write to the papers is because of Jack the Ripper.
That's true.
And just most of
excuse you, ma'am.
Before this, if somebody wanted to write a message to the killer, the police or anything like that to the public,
yeah,
they would write it to the police. They wouldn't write it to the papers.
Get Brandy down. I have the air conditioner on.
So also Robert Anderson, when he retired, actually wrote a memoir called The Lighter Side of My Life. And he actually wrote that the Dear Boss letter that is preserved in the police museum at New Scotland Yard is a creation of an enterprising journalist, and Robert's successor actually thought the same thing. Dr. Melville McNaughton took over the CID in 1903, and he was like he said this. It was a journalist. It was a ghastly production. I have always thought I could discern the stained forefinger of a journalist. Indeed, a year later, I had a shrewd suspicion as to the actual author. So now you may be asking, but the Dear Boss letter was sent before he took an ear, and the letter said he was going to take an ear.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out that the letter was sent on September 29th, which was not sent on September 29th, which was hours before the double murder. As the Central News Agency claimed. They had it, and they claimed they had it since the 27th and waited until the day of the murders to turn it into the police. So they said they've had this letter that said it was from Jack the Ripper, that said he was going to take someone's ear and kill somebody since the 27th, and the only time they gave it to the police was after the actual double murder.
Oh, wow.
Now, this actually got people talking and thinking that the Ripper could be a journalist and wrote it to help his paper. The postcard that was also sent to the press was actually sent 24 hours after the murder. So they had tried to make it look like it was sent early, but that didn't end up working. In 1993, a letter was discovered by a man named Stuart Evans, and it was called the Little Child Letter because it was written by Chief Inspector John George. Little Child, who was the head of the Secret Department of Scotland Yard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written by George R. Sims, who was an author and journalist. And it said that he was sure Tom Bowling wrote the letter. He was the one who had received the letters too.
Okay.
So it didn't pass anyone's hands before it got to Tom Bowling. So he could have just created it out of thin air. He could have had it a letter, a little envelope post stamped on the 27th or whatever date, wrote a letter real quick, folded it, hid it inside a pile of things and said, hey, I got this letter on the 27th. And it said some stuff that happened today.
Right. Who knows?
But then he wrote it on after the murder happened, and he could have taken the notes of what happened in the murder.
Yeah, like I think something sounds stick break.
Mr. Ghost is not happy.
Oh wow, that just fell off by itself.
What fell off by itself?
We're gonna put you right there.
Mr. Ghost's not happy.
And you don't like the fact that we talking about this case. He's all like, no.
Then on November 9th,
and if things start flying, we know we're done.
Yeah. So now at this point, the murders are following a very similar time pattern. People were realizing his first kill was August 31st. The next one was September 8th. The one after that was September 30th. So following a pattern, October 8th or 9th would be the killing.
Right.
And nothing happened. And everyone is waiting. Then October 30th comes around and there's nothing. And they're like, did we stop him? Did we catch him? No. And women and sex workers are beginning to feel safer. There's this sense of calm. And then on November 9th, his final victim was found completely hacked to death in her own bedroom in the room 13 Miller Court off Dorset Street in Spitalfield. Mm-hmm. And the scene of her murder was one that is super gruesome. And so that is where we are going to end.
Okay. Cobain.
So let us know if you believe that which letters are true or if any of the letters are true. I firmly believe the From Hell letter is real, but the other ones are fake. I think journalists wrote that. I think people are really shitty. Yeah. But I think the From Hell is actually true.
Yeah.
Anything to know?
No.
She's getting tired of Jack the Ripper. She wanted to know so much about Jack the Ripper. Now she's like, I regret learning about this.
No, I'm not regretting it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, there is a lot to learn about Jack the Ripper. I give that. I guess I was hoping to learn more about him, but
there's not much to learn about him.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we're learning more about the victims, which is a good idea too.
Which is also helping us kind of piece together who he could be.
Yes, because apparently he's either a butcher or a coroner,
an autopsy,
and a doctor. In the
somebody who can't spell worth a damn.
That's true. Trying to even read that.
Because also, can we talk about how in the Dear Boss letter he was like, I kept some of the red stuff. If he was really this knowledgeable about medical stuff, he would know that blood, when it's outside of the body, coagulates. So he would know he couldn't write with it.
He's that dumb.
He's either that dumb or it was a journalist who doesn't know that.
And if y'all wondering what I've been doing, I've been coming up with a new picture to go with our lives.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it.
I know. So do I. You gotta wait to see
it. But yeah. So we are going to begin with the murder of Mary Jane Kelly, aka Ginger, aka Fair Emma, aka Dark Mary, aka Black Mary, and aka Mary Jeanette. Those are all of her aliases.
She has too many damn aliases.
She has a lot of aliases. She is also a hoot and a holler of a woman. She is also the youngest of the victims.
Okay. All right, so we'll be right back. No joke. We will be right back.
We will be right back. Actually, I'm going to go look and see if my Amazon package is here, and I'm going to see if the cat fits in the Amazon package.
So we're going to take a second, then we'll be right back.
Yes.
See you in the next one.
See you in the next one.